She woke me before the alarm, before the sky had decided what color it would be. Her hand was already on my phone, resting on it like a paperweight. "Don't look at it today," she said. "Just give it to me." Her voice wasn't sharp. That was the first wrong thing. It was careful, almost administrative, like someone reading a policy they didn't write. I pulled the phone toward my chest. "Why?" She didn't answer immediately. She sat back on her heels, the bedsheet slipping from her shoulder. In the dim light I saw her face drain, not dramatically, just steadily, like ink diluted with water. "You're going to hate me by noon," she whispered. I laughed once. It came out wrong, too loud for the hour. "That's ominous." She shook her head. "I'm not threatening you." "Then what are you doing?" "Giving you a chance not to make it worse." That did it. Chances imply guilt, warnings imply traps. I sat up, swung my legs over the side of the bed. "I'm not handing over my phone, because you're being cryptic at dawn." She nodded, like she'd expected that answer. She didn't reach for the phone again. She just stood, pulled on a sweater, and left the room. The door didn't slam. It clicked shut with the precision of something finished. The house moved on without us. The coffee maker clicked on at 6, as it always did. I poured a mug and didn't drink it. The phone sat on the counter, screen dark. I didn't check it, not because I was complying, but because some primitive part of me thought looking early might be a kind of loss. By 8, I was at my desk. Emails came in, ordinary ones, calendar reminders, a meme from a coworker. Nothing felt charged. That was worse. When you expect a storm and the air stays still, you start inventing thunder. I replayed the moment, her words, "You're going to hate me by noon." Not "you'll hate what happens," not "what I did," just me. It wasn't defensive. It sounded like an apology issued too early to be effective. Around 10, I texted her from my computer. "We need to talk," she replied almost immediately. "We already did, I won't interfere." That phrasing stuck. Interfere with what? My morning? My denial? I stood up and walked through the house. The guest room bed was made. Her shoes were gone. On the kitchen table, my phone charger was coiled neatly, placed where I couldn't miss it. A courtesy. Memories began doing that thing they do when invited by anxiety, lining up to audition for relevance. A night last winter when she'd asked, casually, whether I'd ever deleted messages. Just to keep things clean. A laugh I'd misread. A look that lasted a half-second too long when my phone buzzed at dinner. None of it had seemed important at the time. That's how trust collapses, not from impact, but from erosion you only notice when the floor gives way. At 11:58, I sat down. I didn't want to be standing when it happened. I put the phone face up on the desk and waited. At noon exactly it vibrated. Not once, continuously, like a trapped insect. The screen lit up and filled, scrolling faster than I could process. 147 messages arrived at the same time. I stared at the number first. It was so specific it felt designed. I opened the first one. "This is to formally notify you that an internal review has concluded." I didn't read the rest. I didn't have to. The tone did the work. This wasn't personal. It was procedural. The next messages stacked behind it, attachments, calendar invites, acknowledgements. Legal language, HR language. Words that don't argue. My phone kept buzzing. Emails mirrored the messages, as if redundancy itself were a form of authority. I finally scrolled. Unauthorized access, breach of fiduciary duty, effective immediately. The room felt smaller, not from panic but from clarity. There would be meetings. There would be questions. There would be no versions of this story where I talked my way out. I thought of her again, standing in the half-light, offering the phone like a live wire she'd already measured. By 12:10, my manager called. He didn't sound angry. He sounded relieved to be reading from a script. By 12:15, my access was revoked. By 12:20, a calendar block appeared for 3 p.m. compliance interview. The world had not ended. It had simply reorganized itself without me at the center. She came home at 2. I was at the kitchen table, the phone between us like a third presence. She didn't sit. She set her keys down carefully, as if sound mattered. "You saw," she said. I nodded. "I didn't send them," she said quickly, then stopped. I sent things. Months ago. I didn't coordinate today. But you knew." "Wes." I waited for more. "She didn't offer it. You could have told me?" I said. The sentence sounded thin as soon as it left my mouth. "I did," she said. "Just not in a way you wanted." I thought about the morning. The request, the warning. How I'd framed it as control. "Why noon?" I asked. She leaned against the counter. "Because that's when the review closed. Because after that, anything I said would have sounded like damage control. And before, it would have sounded like betrayal." There it was, not an excuse, a diagnosis. "Did you want me to give you the phone?" I asked. She considered. "No. I wanted you to understand that not giving it was your choice." The cruelty of that landed softly but firmly. She hadn't wanted compliance, she'd wanted agency preserved, even if it condemned me. At 3, I left for the interview. She didn't come with me, she didn't have to. The interview was exactly what you imagine when you imagine authority done cleanly. 2 people. A glass room. A recorder placed in the center like a witness. They asked questions I could answer, and questions I couldn't without lying. I chose the former more often than not. It felt like a small, belated act of dignity. When it ended, they thanked me for my time. No one raised their voice. No one needed to. That night, we ate dinner quietly. The television stayed off. The silence wasn't hostile. It was informational. "I'm not asking you to forgive me," she said eventually. "I'm not even sure what that would look like. What are you asking for?" She met my eyes. They were steady. "For you not to pretend this came out of nowhere." I nodded. That was doable. Painful, but doable. We didn't talk about the future. We didn't talk about lawyers or logistics or who would sleep where. Those conversations require a shared premise, and ours had expired. Later, in bed, I reached for my phone out of habit and stopped. I set it on the nightstand face down. "You can look," she said softly, not turning toward me. I know. I didn't. In the weeks that followed, people learned. Not everything, just enough. The official language did its work. Doors closed politely. Some stayed ajar out of courtesy. She moved into the guest room. Not dramatically. She took her clothes, her books, the lamp she liked. She left the art we'd bought together. We were civil. We were precise. One evening, I found the charger still on the kitchen table, exactly where she'd placed it that morning. I realized she'd never moved it. It had been waiting, like evidence no one bothered to collect. I didn't pick it up. Some collapses are loud, ours was procedural. A trust audited and found noncompliant, with no path to remediation. By the time the paperwork was done, the damage had already been logged. All that remained was compliance. At noon one day, weeks later, my phone buzzed. A single message this time, a confirmation. A closing note. I read it. Then I turned the phone face down and sat with the quiet, understanding at last that the first message had not been a warning. It had been the record.